If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, October 23rd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, the high 61. Tonight and overnight, clear, low 48. And then Friday, much of the same, sunny, high 62. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are, 45 clear in Haverstraw up in Rockland County. It's 46 and clear in Park Ridge over in New Jersey. And it's 48 and clear right outside our Midtown studio.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Who do you think won that big debate last night? A New Jersey man said he had a life and death fight with a coyote. Broadway theaters could go dark tonight. Vendors back on Canal Street after an ICE operation there. And how much money can you really make stealing other people's mail? All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Did you sit down to watch the big debate on New York 1 last night, the final face-to-face in the race for mayor? Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani, Independent Andrew Cuomo, and Republican Curtis Sliwa went at it for about 90 minutes.
Andrew Cuomo will spend much of tonight attacking me. He is a desperate man, lashing out because he knows that the one thing he's always cared about, power, is now slipping away from him.
Mamdani defended his policy proposals, including free buses and a $30 per hour minimum wage within the next 5 years, after critics called him unrealistic. Here was a little bit between Cuomo and Mamdani.
You have never had a job. You've never accomplished anything. There's no reason to believe you have any merit or qualification for 8.5 million lives.
Yeah, that was mentioned a number of times. Then Curtis Sliwa going on the attack against Andrew Cuomo and his legal record.
The only reason that John is on the stage is because of the failed Governor Cuomo, who was rejected by the Democrats in the primary and rejected by 13 women who charged you with sexual harassment. Do you ever know that no means no?
That was Andrew to Curtis to Andrew Cuomo last night. Mamdani using Andrew Cuomo's words against him at one point during the debate.
We just had a former governor say in his own words that the city has been getting screwed by the state. Who was leading the state? It was you.
Governor Hochul.
You were leading the state for
Governor
10 years,
Hochul.
screwing the city.
No.
Of course, there was talk about the White House relationship with the city if Mamdani were to win.
You're going to have to be adversarial when you need to, but you want to cooperate to get good things done in this city, and you need federal help.
And then we heard from Donald Trump's puppet himself, Andrew Cuomo. You could turn on TV any day of the week, and you will hear Donald Trump share that his pick for mayor is Andrew Cuomo. He wants Andrew Cuomo to be the mayor, not because it will be good for New Yorkers, but because it will be good for him.
All right, the race in the national spotlight with Mamdani's self-described socialist label. President Trump has been warning New Yorkers not to vote for him, but even admits Mamdani's lead may be too large to overcome. Early voting, it begins on Saturday. Election day is November 4th, and we're going to get some reaction from voters and reaction from the candidates about how they think they did at the debate. That coming up after 5:30. And Let me point this out as well. About 30 minutes after that debate wrapped at 8:30 last night, it was actually 8:35. They went about 5 minutes over last night. Andrew Cuomo darted out of this arena where they were holding at this Performing Arts Center in Long Island City, and he raced over to Madison Square Garden, where he sat down next to Mayor Adams courtside at the Knicks home opener for the season. And then there was a picture of the two of them that the mayor tweeted out last night. He said, "Great win for the Knicks. We need a win for the city. Can't go backwards." So at least a soft endorsement anyway from Mayor Adams for Andrew Cuomo, who sat next to him at that Knicks game last night. 5:04. The arrest of a woman who allegedly abandoned her newborn at a busy Manhattan subway station is bringing New York's safe haven law into sharper focus now.
30-year-old Asa Diawara accused of leaving her newborn at Penn Station Monday. She's been charged with abandonment and child endangerment. The safe haven law has been on the books for 25 years. It protects a parent who abandons a baby that's up to 30 days old. There are no names required, no questions asked, no criminal prosecution if the baby's left in a safe haven. Talking about a hospital, a staffed police station, maybe a firehouse. Definitely not the bottom of a busy staircase at Penn Station. The newborn found Monday morning wrapped in a blanket with her umbilical cord still attached. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
Most of New York City's 41 Broadway theaters, they could go dark tonight if musicians don't reach a contract agreement with the Broadway League today. Broadway's 1,200 musicians say they're ready to walk off the job for better pay, better health care benefits, and more job security.
Good thing we came today.
If they went on strike, we would support the strike.
They got leverage, holiday season coming.
Those were some people waiting in the line at TKTS in Times Square yesterday, and now actors and stage managers whose union announced a tentative contract on Saturday say they will walk too if the musicians strike. The Manhattan Chamber of Commerce warns that a walkout would cost New York City about $9 million a day. 5:06. Homeland Security agents carried out that multi-agency crackdown on street vendors along Canal Street yesterday, most of whom are part of the city's immigrant population. Immigration advocates accusing the federal government of racial profiling during those arrests yesterday. So they made just 9 arrests in all. 5 of them were people who were here illegally. One of the people that was arrested yesterday apparently has been a street vendor on Canal Street for about 24 years. And here's his wife, who says that she couldn't believe her husband was being taken away because he's here legally.
They asked him for his vendor's license, which he had. He's not an illegal vendor. My husband told them, this is my wife. She's a U.S. citizen. So they gave me back my ID and left, but they arrested him, who'd been here for the last 24 years.
Now, these are the ones, no doubt, if you've been on Canal Street, you've seen them before, who were selling these knockoff handbags, purses, watches, wallets. And this woman sells cell phone cases, that kind of thing, and says she's been on Canal Street forever. In fact, she was back there yesterday, even after the operation.
Do you plan on continuing to do your business here?
Of course, why not? All completely and totally. I plan on doing it. I'm not doing anything wrong. Never have, never will. And I'm not afraid. So
total 9 arrested in that operation. Only 5 of those 9 have been arrested for crimes not related to immigration. The FBI, DEA, ATF, IRS all assisted in that crackdown on Canal Street on Tuesday. WABC News Time 5:09. Sean Diddy Combs having some issues apparently behind bars as he continues to ask the president for help getting out of jail, a commutation.
A longtime friend of Diddy's tells the Daily Mail that an inmate armed with a shiv snuck into Diddy's cell, with the hip-hop mogul waking up to a knife to his throat. Diddy's lawyer mentioned the incident during the sentencing hearing, saying a guard stopped anything from escalating. Combs was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison after being convicted on 2 counts of violating the Mann Act. I'm Jim Roop.
The U.S. has struck a second alleged drug trafficking vessel in the Pacific Ocean.
In a post on X Wednesday, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced 3 alleged narco-terrorists were killed in the Eastern Pacific. This comes hours after Hegseth announced that 2 people were killed in a strike on Tuesday. The attacks mark an apparent expansion of Trump's campaign against what he refers to as a narco-terrorist threat coming from Venezuela, as all previous strikes happened in Caribbean waters. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The head of NATO met with President Trump at the White House yesterday, just 24 hours after the president pulled the plug on a second summit with Russia's leader. The meeting with the NATO secretary, he says it went well.
And we've had some very good discussions today, and things are going along pretty well as regarding Ukraine, Russia. We thought it would be a little bit easier. That's turned out to be tougher than the Middle East.
The president continues to press Putin to end the Russia-Ukraine war and announced sanctions on Russia's 2 largest oil companies yesterday.
We canceled the meeting with President Putin. It didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like we were going to get to the place we have to get, so I canceled it. The problem with the Tomahawk that a lot of people don't know, it'll take a minimum of 6 months, usually a year, to learn how to use them. They're highly complex. So the only way a Tomahawk is going to be shot is if we shot it, and we're not going to do that.
The president there explaining his decision not to provide Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles. 5/11, federal government shut down now in its 4th week, and the fighting has not slowed down. Democratic Senator Michael Bennet says health care subsidies must be addressed by Republicans or else insurance premiums on the health exchanges will skyrocket. So he called out Republicans saying that they're not going to make a deal until that's done.
Why John Barrasso wants to make matters worse for people in that system.
John Barrasso, by the way, is the majority whip in the Senate.
Why he wants to cut their health care subsidies so that it's even more unaffordable for people in Wyoming or Colorado to buy health care, I can't possibly understand.
Colorado Republican Congressman Jeff Crank says Bennett and fellow Senator John Hickenlooper out of Colorado are continuing to play games with the country's troops and federal workforce by blocking a continuing resolution.
These are the reflections of a trickle-down economy that has worked really, really well for the wealthiest people in America and has not worked for everybody else.
So as you hear the Democrats, they're not backing down. Republicans say they've submitted a clean budget that continues to fund the government without any changes. They say Democrats insist on adding language that would repeal elements of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill that eliminates taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants. They say they won't back down on that. So here we go, 4th week. 5/12, Governor Newsom plans to take President Trump to court if National Guard troops are sent to San Francisco. He and the state attorney general say the state will immediately file suit if Trump moves on that threat.
There has to be an emergency. There has to be a rebellion. There has to be an invasion. There has to be the inability to enforce the laws with the regular forces. None of those things exist.
The San Francisco district attorney says the issue is beyond the president sending in the National Guard.
The precursor to the National Guard is likely going to be Customs and Border Patrol and ICE agents, just as we've seen in Los Angeles and Chicago. And I think that presents a much greater challenge for us.
President Trump has already sent troops to several cities across the nation, has said multiple times that San Francisco is next, calling the city by the Bay a total mess. While we're in California, former President Obama encouraging California voters to back Prop 50 in a Zoom meeting with Governor Newsom. The former president, stressed the importance of the initiative to counter President Trump's influence to the 2026 midterm elections.
Our current president and his administration is explicitly saying that we want to change the rules of the game midstream in order to insulate ourselves from the people's judgment.
Democrats are pushing voters to approve Prop 50. It would circumvent an independent redistricting commission to create legislature-approved lines ahead of the upcoming elections. The move comes after the GOP-led redistricting efforts down in Texas.
The essence of Prop 50 is to say that if you are going to play that game, then we are going to try to counteract that abuse of the system.
Governor Newsom claims the redistricting effort in Texas was just all about the president not wanting to lose in the midterms.
Of course, he recognizes the obvious. He's underwater in every single critical issue. American people have expressed themselves very clearly in terms of discontent with this administration.
So Prop 50 will be on the ballot for California voters in just 2 weeks. In a moment, we'll go down to Florida, where there are worries about Tropical Storm Melissa. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Allen.
Good morning to you, Noel Maladen. Start at the Garden here on the hardwood. OG Anunoby had 24 points, 14 rebounds. Jalen Brunson scored 23 points. And the Knicks beat the Cavaliers 119-111 in their season opener and first game under head coach Mike Brown. Karl Anthony Towns added 19 points and 11 rebounds for the Knicks. He was playing a little banged up, and the Knicks had a 17-point lead in the first half. Fell behind after Donovan Mitchell led a comeback, then regained the lead for good with a 14-0 run early in the fourth quarter. Mikal Bridges hit all 4 of his shots and scored 10 points in the first quarter, helping New York lead 33-23 at the time. The Knicks started the year without center Mitchell Robinson. He's got a left ankle injury, and Josh Hart, who's got lower back spasms. Up next for the now 1-0 Knicks, they'll welcome in the Boston Celtics tomorrow night in Charlotte. The Nets open their season with a 136-117 loss to the Hornets. Nick Claxton had 17 points. Cam Thomas added 15 to lead the Nets. Daron Sharp and Igor Demon each pitched in with 14 points for Brooklyn. Up next for them, they'll visit the Sixers in Philadelphia come Saturday night. Head to the ice here in Jersey. Nico Dawes made 29 saves. Paul Cotter, Brendan Dillon, and rookie Arseny Griciuk scored, and the Devils beat the Minnesota Wild 4-1 for their 6th straight victory. New Jersey began the streak after an opening loss at Carolina, winning 3 each at home and on the road. The winning streak is the Devils' longest since 13-game run early in the 22-23 season. Jesper Bratt had an empty net goal. Dawson Mercer added 2 assists as well. Dawes made his season debut after Jake Allen won New Jersey's 3 previous contests. Starter Jacob Markstrom was injured in a victory at Columbus earlier this month. Up next for the streaking Devils, they'll host the San Jose Sharks tomorrow night. I'm looking ahead to ice hockey action tonight. The Rangers and Islanders back in action, both dropping a 7 p.m. puck. Rangers will welcome in the aforementioned Sharks into the Garden tonight, and the Islanders will be at home in Elmont as well. They'll welcome in the Detroit Red Wings. And it is Thursday, which means NFL Week 8 getting underway tonight with your weekly installment of Thursday Night Football. Of course, it's an 8:15 p.m. kickoff as always. It's the 3-3 Vikings at the 4-3 Chargers in there. Chargers are 3.5-point home favorites. That's your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 519. Tropical storm Melissa drifting west-northwest in the Central Caribbean, expected to remain stationary through the weekend.
We're expecting only gradual strengthening over the next couple of days, but the environment, unfortunately, does look favorable for Melissa to become a hurricane over the weekend, and forecasting now a major hurricane by early next week.
We've gotten off pretty easy so far this hurricane season, but that may end. National Hurricane Center Director Dr. Michael Brennan, you're hearing there, says there's uncertainty about the track and the intensity of Melissa.
There's a lot of uncertainty with the slow motion and the track and the eventual intensity of Melissa as it moves across the Caribbean. Interest all across the Central Caribbean, elsewhere in Hispaniola and Cuba, should continue to monitor the latest forecasts and updates on Melissa.
Yeah, so for now, that storm is a threat to Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Cuba. 5:20, let's go overseas. Vice President J.D. Vance, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu holding talks in Jerusalem on the implementation of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. Correspondent Matt Bradley's in Tel Aviv. He says that 2 other top U.S. envoys, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, are also in Israel this week.
These 3 men are all in town with one very simple message to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Calm down. Don't retaliate. Don't enter into the Gaza Strip and restart the fighting. We did see last night 2 more bodies being given over by Hamas to the Israelis. Now, there are only 13 bodies of hostages still left in the Gaza Strip. This has raised outrage here in Israel. They were going to struggle to find these bodies, not just because the Gaza Strip has been almost completely leveled, because some of the Hamas militants who buried these bodies have since been killed in the fighting. So it looks like right now, despite the violations, despite the odds, that this ceasefire is holding.
But the vice president continuing to say that so far they're on track to try to implement some of the other points of the 20-point plan created by the White House.
Day 2 of Vice President J.D. Vance's visit to Israel. He's been meeting with top dignitaries, including the prime minister, the president, along with his wife, Usha.
A little bit tougher, though, when it comes to Russia. The White House says now no new plans for a meeting between President Trump, the Russian President Vladimir Putin in the immediate future. Correspondent Kate Fisher reports that's a switch from last week when the president said the two leaders would talk in Budapest.
The change in plans comes hours after Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov signaled a wide chasm between Moscow and Washington on ending the war in Ukraine. The State Department said that U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke to Mr. Lavrov on Monday.
And the White House described that meeting as productive.
The White House official said they had a productive call, and so a future in-person meeting between them was not necessary. That goes against what Mr. Trump said last week when he previewed high-level meetings between the US and Russia, led by Mr. Rubio. That followed a phone call between Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin last week, after which President Trump announced he would meet the Russian president in Budapest to discuss a possible end to Russia's war in Ukraine.
And the president saying at the White House yesterday, yeah, this is a lot harder than he thought it would be, a lot harder than it seems to be in the Middle East. 5:22, let's bring it back home down to Texas. Governor Greg Abbott says the state is targeting college professors for pushing political agendas. That's got the backing of conservative groups across the Lone Star State who feel that universities have become liberal echo chambers.
We're trying to create universities where students feel comfortable saying what they think.
That's Sherry Sylvester with the Texas Public Policy Foundation says a politically balanced approach at these schools would make them a lot stronger.
We invest billions in taxpayer dollars in our universities, and the taxpayers who do that want children who can compete in the global marketplace. The ratio of liberals to conservatives at the University of Texas is 4-1.
Yeah, in fact, the latest casualty is the University of Texas Austin professor Art Markman. He says that he was fired from a leadership position for his ideological differences with the governor. 5:23 up to Maine, where a candidate running for U.S. Senate there says he covered up a tattoo that resembled a Nazi symbol. Democrat Graham Planter says he got the skull and bones tattoo while drunk 18 years ago and did not know that the image was linked to the Nazis.
There was a lot of heavy drinking back then. Mm-hmm. I mean, the infantry is always historically a heavy drinking place, but going ashore and partying pretty hard, getting tattoos, that was kind of the bulk of it.
And he claims that he and other Marines had chosen a terrifying looking skull and crossbones off the wall at the tattoo parlor where he was inked. Planter says he's looking to unseat Republican Senator Susan Collins, who's been in office since 1997. 5:24, police continue to warn parents about this dangerous social media trend. We told you about this in Yonkers last week. It's called AI homeless man prank. Apparently this thing's getting bigger by the day. So Lisa Schneider, she's with a police department in California. She says that officers nearly forced entry into a house this week when a girl sent her mother a fake AI image that looked like there was a stranger, a homeless man, sitting next to her daughter on the couch. So the whole idea of this prank is this is all about uploading stuff to TikTok, by the way, is you send your parents a fake video, a picture of you sitting next to somebody who clearly looks like they're out of their mind, and then you see how they react. So, of course, when parents get this, if they can't get their kids on the phone immediately, they call the police. That happened in Yonkers last week, and apparently it's happening in other places as well.
That mama bear aspect takes over, and those blinders are on, and you are just seeing red, and you want to make sure your kids are safe.
And then, of course, police are upset about this because they don't know what they're walking into. They think they're walking into a dangerous situation when it ends up none none of it's true. There's no stranger or homeless person in this house. It's all just a prank so the kids can put it up on TikTok, make fun of their parents.
The cops get sent to them, something they think is an emergency, and it was just a prank, then they are not out helping who they should be helping. Maybe the person got hurt or died, and then because they couldn't respond to a prank.
Yeah, Yonkers police said it was a really intense situation there last week when a mother called them to say she couldn't get in touch with her daughter and that she had seen this picture of a homeless man inside her home. Of course, it ended up being fake, but police did not know that. 526. Elon Musk says his Tesla robotaxis will be unsupervised by the end of this year.
The CEO made the claim on an earnings conference call Wednesday and said the self-driving taxis will expand to up to 10 metropolitan areas by the end of the year, and that safety drivers will be removed in 2 months in Austin, Texas. Some of the new markets include Florida, Arizona, and Nevada. The call ended with Tesla stock being down more than 3%. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Yeah, Waymo has been testing out those autonomous taxis in Jersey City. I see them everywhere. Driverless cars flying through. They're not letting passengers in, but they're, I guess, teaching the roads to these autonomous cars. Now, I don't know when those Waymos will be available, but they're available in other cities like San Francisco and Austin. In a moment, we will tell you about the latest matcha trend. I'm not a big matcha guy, but apparently there's a lot of matcha people out there. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 527, traffic, transit on the 7s. Here's Joe Nolan.
A driverless cab would have been a lot better than the one I got in yesterday, that's for sure.
Oh, like Uber or something like that?
No, I got a cab from Penn Station up to Rockefeller Center, and there was the guy, he was clueless.
Yeah. I can tell you,
no idea where he was going, what he was doing. I mean, it was. I've never gotten a cab. I've taken a lot of cabs in my life, and I've never gotten one where the guy didn't know anything about what he was doing. But anyway,
did you have to give him directions?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe he's new to the city or something. But
yes, and then he went to instead of going up 6th, he went up Madison. And we're sitting in traffic. I was ready to kill the guy. I really was. I was so angry at him. But, what are you going to do?
The Waymos, because I took them when I was out in San Francisco this past summer.
Yeah.
The first time I was in it, I was like, oh, no, what's going to happen, Yeah. But then I took them the rest of the time we were out there. It's the safest way to get around. Yeah, those Waymos don't get into accidents.
Well, at least you would have known where he was going.
Yeah, I had no problem that way, that's for sure.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, October 23rd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, the high 61. Tonight and overnight, clear, low 48. And then Friday, much of the same, sunny, high 62. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are, 45 clear in Haverstraw up in Rockland County. It's 46 and clear in Park Ridge over in New Jersey. And it's 48 and clear right outside our Midtown studio. WABC News Time 5:39. Who won that big debate last night on New York One? Front runner Zohran Mamdani breaking a sweat. Did you see that? He was sweating last night during this knockdown, drag-out final mayoral debate, as we finally saw a fired-up Andrew Cuomo repeatedly pressed him to quit acting and deliver straight answers on just about anything. So here was one of the exchanges between Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani. Here was this on whether he has the experience to do the job, Zohran Mamdani.
I did things. You have never had a job. You've never accomplished anything. There's no reason to believe you have any merit or qualification for 8.5 million lives. You don't know how to run a government. You don't know how to handle an emergency.
The issue is that we have all experienced your experience. The issue is that we experienced you taking a $5 million book deal while you sent seniors to their deaths in nursing homes.
Yeah, Zohran Mamdani clearly waiting for the experience thing to come up so he could lay that line down. Kernis, he attacked both Mamdani and Cuomo on doing their job.
Zohran, your resume could fit on a cocktail napkin, and Andrew, your failures could fill a public school library in New York City.
And you can point out that Mamdani for sure did not have as good of a debate night as he did the first time around. He didn't seem to have the answers for a number of things: education reform, public safety, housing. At one point, he had no answer for how to speed up the process to quickly build new units and help ease the housing crisis across the city. On no cash bail, Curtis went after both Andrew Cuomo, as he called him in the first debate, the architect, and Mamdani, as he called him, the apprentice. Here he was last night.
So how can both of you look at me? I almost lost my oldest son to gang violence, and the perpetrators went to family court and got a little pat on the wrist and was sent home to do it again and again.
And then there was this one part of the debate last night where the candidates could ask each other one question. And Mamdani and Cuomo were talking about sexual harassment cases against him.
What do you say to the 13 women that you sexually harassed?
There were allegations of sexual harassment. They went to 5 district attorneys, fully litigated for 4 years. The cases were dropped.
And Mamdani, like he did in the first debate, asked about the Jewish vote, accusations that he's anti-Semitic.
I look forward to being a mayor for every single person that calls this city home. Not just those who voted for me in the Democratic primary, not just those that vote for me in this general election, but all 8.5 million New Yorkers. And that includes Jewish New Yorkers who may have concerns or opposition to the positions that I've shared about Israel and Palestine.
Now, Curtis Lewa said that answer was way too polished, so he asked Mamdani, when he had the moment to, about his 2 Jewish kids. He has 2 kids that are Jewish with the Queen's District Attorney. Why am I blanking on her name? Anyway, so he asked him, he said, what will you do to protect those 2 kids, my 2 kids? And here's what he had to say.
They're frightened. They're scared.
I just thought of it. Melinda Katz.
They view you as the arsonist who fanned the flames of anti-Semitism. They cannot suddenly accept the fact that you're coming in like a firefighter and you're going to put out these flames.
I think there is room for disagreement on many positions and many policies. All the same, Curtis, I do still want to be the mayor that will keep your sons safe, that will keep every single New Yorker safe.
Yeah, the one person who didn't, at least in my house, buy that answer, my wife screaming at the TV. She thinks Mamdani is anti-Semitic. Just about 30 minutes after the debate wrapped, which was about 8:35. It went a little longer than they initially thought it was. It was supposed to be 90 minutes. It went about 95 minutes or so. The former governor, he raced over to Madison Square Garden, where he sat next to the current mayor, Eric Adams, at the Knicks game last night, courtside. And then after the game was over, the mayor was the one who tweeted a picture of him and the governor sitting next to each other at the game. And he said, "Great win for the Knicks. We need to win for the city. Can't go backwards." So a sort of endorsement from Mayor Adams last night. 5:43. Several Broadway productions could go dark as soon as today if a deal is not reached by today with the musicians in the pit at those theaters. Some of the shows that could go dark include Moulin Rouge, Wicked, and tourists who are in town to see those shows worried they may not be able to see them at all.
Hopefully they can come to a quick resolution so that, that's fair for both parties. But Broadway's New York, can't turn off the lights.
Ultimately, what it boils down to is we need to understand that these people are human. We need to understand that they have needs and rights to have a livelihood in which they feel secure and safe.
2 unions representing thousands of musicians and performers authorized to strike last week if they couldn't reach agreement on better pay and health. Again, more tourists waiting in line. This was at TKTS in Times Square yesterday, saying they hope they get to see a Broadway show because that was one of the big reasons they came to the Big Apple on vacation.
Well, that's frustrating, but I try to understand.
It would be very disappointing, but I'd also understand I'm in a different country and I'd understand that there are different ways of doing things here.
I will be very pissed.
New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, New Jersey Senator Andy Kim calling on all parties to negotiate in good faith, calling Broadway workers the heartbeat of American arts and entertainment. They say they're hoping that a deal can get done today so those shows don't actually go dark. The thought is New York City would lose $9 million a day if those shows don't go on. All right, in a moment, we'll tell you the latest on that abandoned baby at Penn Station. We told you yesterday they found the mom. We have more on her story, and we'll do that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Allen.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start on the hardwood at the Garden. OG Anunoby had 24 points and 14 rebounds. Jalen Brunson scored 23, and the Knicks beat the Cavaliers 119-111 in their season opener. And first game under head coach Mike Brown. Karl Anthony Towns played a little banged up, but added 19 points and 11 rebounds for the Knicks, who had a 17-point lead in the first half. Fell behind after Donovan Mitchell led a comeback, then regained the lead for good with a 14-0 run early in the fourth quarter. Mikal Bridges hit all 4 of his shots and scored 10 points in the first quarter, helping New York lead 33-23 at the time. Knicks started the year without center Mitchell Robinson. He's got a left ankle issue going on, and Josh Hart's got lower back spasms. Up next for the now 1-0 Knicks, still welcoming the Boston Celtics tomorrow night. In Charlotte, the Nets opened their season with a 136-117 loss to the Hornets. Nick Claxton had 17. Cam Thomas added 15 to lead the Nets there. Daron Sharp and Igor Demon each pitched in with 14 for Brooklyn. Up next for them, they'll visit the Sixers in Philadelphia come Saturday night. Head to the ice in Jersey. Nico Dawes made 29 saves. Paul Cotter, Brendan Dillon, and rookie Arseny Griciuk scored, and the Devils beat the Wild 4-1 for their 6th straight victory. New Jersey began the streak after an opening loss at Carolina, winning 3 each at home and on the road. The winning streak is the Devils' longest since a 13-game run early in the 22-23 season. Jesper Bratt had an empty net goal. Dawson Mercer added 2 assists. Dawes made a season debut after Jake Allen won New Jersey's 3 previous contests. Starter Jacob Markstrom was injured in a victory at Columbus a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half ago. Up next for the streaking Devils, they'll host the San Jose Sharks tomorrow night. Looking ahead to ice hockey action tonight, both a 7 p.m. puck drop for the Islanders and the Rangers. Islanders will welcome in the Detroit Red Wings, and the Rangers, they're at home as well, welcoming in the aforementioned San Jose Sharks. And it is Thursday, which means NFL Week 8 gets underway tonight. Thursday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. kickoff as always. It's the 3-3 Vikings, not the 4-3 Chargers. Chargers there, 3.5-point home favorites. That's your sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. We're learning a lot more on the great police work that was done to find the mother who dropped her abandoned baby inside a subway station at Penn Station on Monday. So they found her. That was around 3 a.m. Wednesday morning. Her name is Asa Diawara. She lives in Queens. She's 30 years old. And so what police did to find her is they first looked at surveillance video, and they saw Diawara walking with blankets outside Penn Station. They followed a trail of several videos, and they found another one of Diawara taking a Cadillac back to Jamaica, Queens, where they tracked that using all kinds of different technology. And then they showed her picture around that Queens neighborhood, and finally somebody recognized her from that surveillance footage, and that's how they were able to find her at 3 a.m. Wednesday morning. Neighbors say they knew who she was. They didn't necessarily even know that she was pregnant.
She's a Muslim lady. She's always covering up. Very quiet lady. I'll be shocked if she's actually the person.
Diawara, when confronted, admitted to abandoning her newborn daughter when cops showed up at her house. Of course, you have New York's safe haven law that was created to protect unwanted babies that allows parents to legally and anonymously abandon a newborn. The baby has to be under 30 years old, left in a suitable location like a hospital, a police, or fire station. Subway station is not on that list. The baby can be left in one of these safe haven baby boxes that these police stations and fire stations have. And of course, in this case, she did not do either of those things. 5:51 out to Long Island, where former New York State Trooper Thomas Macia and his parents were sentenced yesterday in Mineola. The 28-year-old pled guilty in May to shooting himself on purpose and claiming that he was shot on the Southern State Parkway. Here's D.A. Ann Donnelly.
There was an ex-girlfriend he was trying to impress, and we believed that he wanted the public to see him as a hero. He did his homework because, believe me, this was premeditated and planned.
Macia shot himself in the leg, then falsely claimed he was ambushed by another driver after initiating a traffic stop. It led to this multi-state manhunt. I remember over that morning. Prosecutors say the elaborate hoax cost taxpayers thousands of dollars. So he's been sentenced to 6 months in jail, 5 years probation. He'll also have to undergo mental health treatment, and a civil judgment was ordered for $289,000. Messiah's parents, they were charged with possessing an illegal firearm that was found at the foot of their bed when they did a search of the home. There's still an ongoing debate about the motive here. Here is Messiah's lawyer.
Nobody really wants...
I think that's Jeffrey Lichtman. I haven't seen him in a while.
...to discuss the elephant in the room, which is, why did this occur? It doesn't just occur out of the blue. It occurs because it was a result of many years of mental health issues that were never treated. He's mortified. He's mortified at his behavior. He regrets it, obviously, and it was a mistake.
Yeah, now I have time to think of that behind bars. 5:52. Out to New Jersey, a civil rights complaint targeting Amazon, accusing the company of systematically discriminating against pregnant and disabled workers. New Jersey's Attorney General Matt Planking announcing this suit yesterday, accusing the retailer of several violations, including placing pregnant women workers on unpaid leave and retaliating against workers who take a leave and firing workers who are pregnant or disabled.
Amazon automatically places many pregnant employees and employees with disabilities on unpaid leave when they simply make an accommodation request.
The Attorney General says one of the world's richest companies needs to follow state laws when it comes to discrimination.
Over a 2-year period, Amazon's New Jersey employees made more than 27,000 requests for disability and pregnancy-related accommodations. Our investigation shows that Amazon's system has consistently failed these workers.
State Attorney General says Amazon would refuse simple requests such as bathroom breaks and water breaks. Platkins also says Amazon would retaliate against workers who did not lift heavy packages, got hurt on the job, and asked for special accommodations during pregnancy.
It regularly fires warehouse workers who request accommodations just days or weeks after that request is submitted.
Amazon alone in New Jersey has about 50,000 workers. They did send out a statement after this case was announced. They say the claims that we don't follow federal and state laws like Pregnant Workers Fairness Act or the New Jersey Law Against Discrimination are simply not true. 5:54. A man who was bitten by a coyote in his own yard in Saddle River, New Jersey this week, speaking out. It's the second attack in Bergen County in 2 days. He spoke to Eyewitness News. Mike Vincent says he was doing yard work at his home on Tuesday when the coyote attacked and bit him several times. It happened about 6:30. He was doing work facing the other way. He didn't even see the coyote coming.
For minutes, I had been standing up there cutting with this saw. I'm looking up. So I'm not looking around me, right? But, one doesn't really expect a coyote to come up and bite you. Next thing I know, I get bit right here. Okay? Of course, I turn around, and there he is, and he wants to engage.
Vincent said it was clear to him the animal wanted to do battle with him, and so he knew he had to fight back.
Right, he didn't bite me and run away. He wants to engage, so he starts nipping at me like this, right? And I cold cock. I hit him in the side of the head as hard as I could hit him.
I can't even imagine what this is like. So he says the fact that he punched the animal so hard was enough for the animal to walk away and then just lie down for some reason.
And he's trying to bite me, and I'm just trying to get him the hell off me, right? And then eventually I got loose. But after I hit him the one time, I staggered him, and he just kind of like this, and he kind of walked over and basically laid down.
Now you had to see this guy. I mean, bites all over his body. Officers came rushing in after they called 911. They euthanized the coyote, who they say was visibly sick. The animal tested, unfortunately, for 2 people who were bitten by this coyote. Yes, it has rabies. Vincent has begun a round of rabies shot, and the attack comes after we told you about an earlier one in Woodcliff Lake, where a house, a maid for a homeowner there was walking the family dog. The dog was attacked. She stepped in to save the dog, and she was bitten, and now they believe this was the exact same sick coyote. They don't know for sure, but they're pretty sure. So she's now getting rabies shot. And again, we get a warning from local police who say there's a way to keep these coyotes away from your front and backyards.
Pet food inside, don't leave it outside. Keep your garbage cans locked.
Again, clear any kind of heavy brush that's in the area because they like to hide in that. And bird feeders that knock off seed attract small animals, which attract coyotes.
Yeah, good job done by that guy to fight off the coyote. What a wild story.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
What the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.